Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. And it is 2:05 p.m. My name is Ty Mentzer, Chair of the Board. To my right, Vice Chair Commissioner Wayne Fournier, Commissioner Carolina Mejia. To my left, Commissioner Emily Klaus, and Commissioner Grant is joining us on our virtual platform. So thanks everybody for being here. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Mejia, if you would all join us.
Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have a land acknowledgement from the Vice Chair.
We'd also like to start today with a land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge and thank the indigenous Salish peoples whose elders and ancestors have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial, and who still inhabit the area today. Specifically, the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people are sovereign tribal partners. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and to remember history as a stepping stone towards healing. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Next, we have approval of the agenda. Just one, I believe, alteration from this morning. Is that right, Madam Clerk? Which was just the duplication of the department item with the consent item. So that's been fixed. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as described.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next up, we have a presentation, a proclamation for Women's History Month, and I'm going to introduce Ellen Massey from County Staff, Management Analyst, to kind of walk us through what we have lined up for today. Good afternoon.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chair and Commission. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ellen Massey. I am the Management Analyst in Central Services, and I have the great honor today to present our speakers for Women's History Month. So our first one will be Ashley Whitley, the Program Manager for the Washington Center of Women in Business.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley. You can all hear me okay?
Yes.
I wanted to start off with just saying who I am. I've been running the Women's Center for 2 years now, and I am excited to share with you today a few of the clients that I've worked with over the last couple of years, as well as a little bit of information over our organization and the impact that we've had in Thurston County.
He's gonna bring it up for you.
My first slide, I just wanted to make a little bit of a short segue into some of the women's history innovation aspects and some of the things that women have brought to us. And I thought it'd be fun to add that in all the way from the 1800s to now. Really important things that they've created that we now use every single day. I think it's a cool, some of these I didn't even know. And as I was doing research, I found them and I thought it would be fun to share, including the Wi-Fi Bluetooth, which I use today. So. I wanted to share a little bit of our 2024 impact as a center just in this state specifically. We did 13 counties doing coaching, and this is one-on-one coaching that I have done personally, which was about 435 sessions in person with businesses across the state. And then over into Thurston County specifically, we helped 63 businesses specifically, whether that's launching or expanding or rebranding, whatever it may be, we've assisted them. And then just a little bit of information on the day-to-day impact that we do. We always are trying to provide information as like coaches, but we also want to provide networking opportunities. And it's why I've brought some of these women here today, is because we're to create a platform where we actually benefit them in the networking capacity. So we do a lot of different things, and I'll go quickly through some of the things we do. We focus heavily on startups because startups have a lot of checklists, and so we create those checklists. We work on business plans. I helped assist 60 different business plans last year. 40 of those businesses are now launched and successful. We also have a lot of quick startup aspects where we help with e-commerce. We help with different things to set people's platforms up so that they can start selling online. We have Inspire Pop-Up Markets started in 2023 of fall. This is like our third one, I believe, that we did in February. The years are blending together. But we've done 87 vendors. So 87 vendors showing up to these pop-up markets. And one of the clients today actually sold out and at this last pop-up in February. So really exciting stuff. These are some pictures of the contract that we have with the mall to get them basically just the traffic to be able to see what they're doing. And some of them are vending for the very first time. We have an e-commerce cohort. It's a 6-week boot camp. We've partnered with the W Marketplace, which is a really large women e-commerce platform in Seattle. And they do a lot of teaching in regard to the e-commerce platforms, and that includes all of them, whether it's Shopify, Amazon, you name it, they know how to do it. We have scholarships specifically for Tumwater, Lacey, and Olympia, and so people can come in and apply and get a scholarship which covers that entire training with an expert for 6 weeks at no cost. We also have a podcast, which is, again, a platform for women. The platform is to share their stories, how they became entrepreneurs, the impact that their businesses are having here in the state. So I wanted to create another aspect of sharing their information. We also have a blog, and a lot of people subscribe to it because it's a lot of our typical questions and answers that we receive from businesses. Obviously, I meet a lot of businesses every day, and so we want to make sure that they have easy access to this information. So I want to give enough time for my 5 clients. Today, my very first client that I've worked with is Wildkind Outdoors. Jess is right here, and her business it's just so unique, and I haven't found anything else like it, so I wanted to share it. It offers nature-based educational courses, rewilding retreats, leadership development, and aliveness training. So from wilderness survival and preparedness strategies that cultivate resilience and self-reliance to nature immersion workshops and retreats that optimize profound holistic health, founder Jess Caldwell curates outdoor and adventures and personal growth opportunities for youth, teens, adults of all ages. She's a trained wilderness survival instructor who's completed 50-day advanced immersion in the mountains of Colorado while living in primitive shelter that she built from natural materials. She foraged for wild food, honed in her skills of firecraft, harvested water, and found profound joy mastering the hard skills that anchor us to our ancestral roots. As a result of her training and time spent in backcountry, she also cultivated essential soft skills related to holistic survival. She developed acute situational awareness and heightened intuition. She became more sensitive to energy and developed personal resilience. And after the successful completion of her 7-day solo with only a knife, a ferro rod, and clothes on her back, Jess experienced what she describes as embodied aliveness. She has an upcoming spring 6-week course starting in April. And it's going to be online, so the QR is listed if you're interested, or you can meet with her after. My next client is Jelly's Kitchen. So Angelica created Jelly's Kitchen, a 20-year-old certified pastry chef with lifelong passion for baking. She started at age 14. She honed in her skills, culminating in the launch of Jelly's Kitchen in 2022. Specializing in custom cakes and cupcakes, Jelly's Kitchen is known for its unique buttercream art and decor, blending Angelica's love for creativity and baking. She uses only the highest quality ingredients to create sweets which are both adorable and refined. Currently a home bakery in Lacey, Angelica aspires to expand her kitchen into a charming cake cafe. I would like to add that she was, again, the one that sold out at the last pop-up market, and her food is not only tasty, she has a beautiful website you can order online, and due to her designs and creativity, I do not have any doubts that she will be successful. Just a little bit more. So there's her and her family, and that was the last pop-up market. The next one I want to talk about is Balanced Being. We just recently met. They are an integrated healing clinic that helps individuals living with the impacts of trauma. And they are all about the mind, body, and spirit. This clinic offers a holistic approach to healing invisible wounds, trauma, and suicide prevention with no medications or pain, offering various modalities such as craniosacral therapy, massage therapy, acupuncture, and behavioral health, with a new addition of acupuncture recently. Kim Nedrow is president and founder. She's the diplomate certified craniosacral therapist and has been practicing CST and somato-emotional release exclusively since 2001. She has years of experience partnering with Washington State's Traumatic Brain Injury Council, University of Washington Education Rehabilitation Program, and the Washington Traumatic Brain Injury Strategic Partnership Advisory Council. Is also board certified by the National Board of Therapeutic Massage and Bodywork and founded BBI in 2000. So she's been around a while. Her impact is felt not just in Olympia, but across the nation as she continues to advocate for holistic care for trauma sufferers, and has more recently in 2009 started a nonprofit called the Association of Integrated Healing in 2009 to be able to serve those whose insurance does not cover and did not have the ability to pay for the healing work that is desperately needed for their veterans, first responders, and families. And I just wanted to bring up one of these reviews. Craniosacral therapy, for me, feels as if my body and mind are working together to smooth out the scars that war and trauma has left on my body and in my mind. With craniosacral therapy, pain relief, as well as positive emotional and mental health are possible. I'm a military spouse, so hearing that from somebody is really special to me. My next one, Samantha. Samantha and I met a little while ago, and her and I discussed a couple of business starts, but we found out that not only is her skill set highly needed in Washington, I don't know if you all know the whole story of CPR, but there's people who are not training actual CPR instructors, not many of them in the state of Washington. So we have lots of CPR instructors, but not instructors who teach instructors. So she's definitely come out and said, hey, I want to start filling in that gap. And we worked together. Restart the Heart CPR was formed in 2024, dedicated to empowering individuals and organizations with essential life-saving skills. Samantha's a certified instructor that provides comprehensive CPR and first aid training, ensuring you gain the confidence and knowledge to respond effectively in emergencies. These trainings include group, corporate, annual training, basic CPR, first aid, AED, child and infant training. Whether you're a caregiver, teacher, or part of a corporate team, her engaging courses are tailored to meet your needs. Join her by sharing work and making a difference, because every second counts. A little more on Samantha. With over 20 years of experience in the medical field, she has built a diverse and impactful career. Beginning in hospital settings, she gained invaluable hands-on experience before transitioning into mental health, where she has continued to make a difference in patient care. A key highlight was her serving as a supervisor over the COVID unit abroad, a cruise ship during the pandemic, where she demonstrated strong leadership and crisis management skills in an unprecedented global health crisis. So currently, she serves as a supervisor at Telecare, overseeing mental health programs and continuing to lead teams with a compassion and expertise. Her broad expertise spans acute care, mental health services, and leadership in high-pressure situations. She's not only a professional in the healthcare industry, but also a great small business owner. And she is here having worked night shift, so we appreciate her time being here. And then my last one, Whispering Wood Designs. Whispering Wood Design was founded in 2023 by two retired women with a mission to be environmentally responsible as we work with wood, helping it to reveal a beauty and mystery that touches the senses, ignites the imagination, and pleases the soul. Thousands of stories are held in its rings. Whispering Wood Designs empowers those stories to whisper forth through unique products, which show that trees may grow old, but their wood retains great elegance. We have Patty and Dr. Cindy Peterson. Patty Mitchell is a retired elementary school principal of 20 years, whose love for wood began when growing up in Tennessee and climbing young birch trees to ride their branches in the wind. Having lived in various states and overseas, her fascination with wood grains, their sensuality and hidden mystery grew to a passion. Dr. Cindy Peterson is a retired university professor of 30 years. Her love of wood began as a child while creating structures from tinker toys and later building a tree house in the backyard of her Pacific Northwest home. Her very mechanically inclined father encouraged her to use tools and be the helper for many of the family projects. Her mom was skilled in finishing the projects with paint, varnish, and oils, and from these roots, one of Cindy's first jobs while attending college was as a Sawyer jitney driver and packer at a local sawmill. She prepared lumber for the kiln, graded, sorted, cutted, assembled, and assisted with the finishing of products. Ultimately, she brought an Alaskan yellow cedar 42-foot boat where she wrote her doctoral dissertation and lived abroad for 15 years. After moving off the boat to 3.5 acres in the South Bay over 20 years ago, the ability to build a shop became a dream come true. And their stuff is beautiful. So they have a little space down in Olympia now where they're selling their products if you want to stop by as well. Online is always good too. And then lastly, a reminder that we have our annual Inspire Women's Business Conference, our second year of trying this out. It has doubled in size. So many women are looking for something like this to be able to network and to grow. And so we have 32 women-owned vendors already registered. We have many, over a dozen exhibitors who are going to be doing business resources and support. We have 6 breakouts, 18 speakers, over 500 attendees, and we have our website up if you want to take a look, but we're definitely trying to create something special every year for Thurston County. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much, Ashley, and for all of your wonderful businesses for being here today. I'd like to bring up next a Representative Angela Jefferson from the League of Women Voters.
I have an exciting speech for you today. Good afternoon, commissioners, staff, and members of the community. Thank you for this opportunity to tell you about the League of Women Voters and the enduring work that we are doing here in Thurston County. The League of Women Voters was founded in 1920, a few months before the ratification of the 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote. Over the past century, the League has worked tirelessly to expand access to voting, as well as advocating for good public policy. Here in Thurston County, we are an integral part of teaching civics and telling the community at every opportunity how government works. We conduct voter registration drives, conduct forums, and advocate for a strong policy to keep our citizens informed about local and national elections. We are fiercely committed to maintaining a healthy democracy. As we reflect on the League's legacy, we would like to remind everyone that democracy thrives when citizens are informed and engaged. The League of Women's Voters ensures that every voice in our community has the opportunity to be heard. We also realize that we are living in tumultuous times in the United States of America. Since the main tenet of our organization is to defend democracy, we must take an official stand. Here is our message to the community. It will be going out shortly. The Thurston County League of Women Voters stands unwavering in its commitment to democracy, the Constitution, and the sacred rights of every American. We are resolute in our mission to empower all citizens, especially whose voices have too long been ignored and silenced, ensuring that everyone has a rightful place in the decisions that shape our nation. Defending the rule of law and standing up against hate are not partisan acts. They are fundamental duties of all who believe in justice. We demand that our local, state, and national representative governments serve all people with fairness, integrity, and an unshakable dedication to upholding our nation's founding principles. Today, our core American values are under attack, because this administration and its enablers are taking actions that trample on the rule of law, betray our democratic ideals, and undermine the freedoms that belong to us all. Congress, the institution designated to represent the people, is currently silent. Yet silence in the face of injustice is not an option. It is not about party lines. It's about persevering the very foundation, preserving the very foundation of our democracy. We issue an urgent call to action. Every citizen and elected official must rise to defend our democracy. We must stand firm, reject any effort to silence or exclude people from the promise of America, and recommit ourselves to the ideals that define us as a nation. Use your voice, use your talents, use your networks. Speak out against hate at every opportunity. It is only through unity and collective action across political affiliations and backgrounds that we can safeguard our republic. Together, we in Thurston County, Washington State, and the nation will forge a future where every person is valued, heard, and empowered to shape the course of history. Our shared commitment to justice transcends politics, reminding us that democracy thrives when we, the people, stand together in its defense. Defending democracy, upholding the rule of law, and rejecting the hate and not partisan causes. They are American principles. Forgive me, I'm so passionate about this that I'm quite nervous, so I'm going to carry on. In closing, we are a nonpartisan and nonprofit civics organization, a diverse group of freedom and democracy-loving people. Some of our members are retired university professors, college deans, attorneys, politicians, military, like myself, former and current educators, still in the workforce, along with high school students and college students. We have zero paid staff and rely 100% on these proud volunteers. To join us, visit our website, www.lwvthurston.org. Our name is the League of Women Voters, but we are inclusive. Men are welcomed and encouraged to join the League. We believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I remember as a young soldier when our unit was selected to deploy to combat operations. Our commander gathered us all together to motivate us because we were apprehensive about the unknown. We knew soldiers were not gonna come back alive. He said, "Soldiers, freedom isn't free. This is our duty. We have sworn to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We trained for this. We are ready. Today, I end this speech, and I tell you as a civilian that democracy isn't free. We have to feed it, we have to cultivate it, and we have to consistently choose to defend it in our way of life." Thank you for your time and attention today.
Thank you so much, Angela. And finally, I would like to introduce Margaret Eby of the Olympia Chorus.
Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners, and staff. What an honor it is to be here today. I am Margaret Eby, the director of the Olympia Chorus. Now, how many of you were born after 1965? You'll notice I did not raise my hand. The Olympia Chorus was born in 1965. We are 60 years old this year. We have been a musical influence in this community for a very long time. The first director was Jack Anderson, and Jack directed this chorus for 46 years. He gave us an amazing foundation, both musically and administratively. The Olympia Chorus is a member of Sweet Adelines International. That's an international organization that sings all over the world. We're dedicated to promoting barbershop music through education, performances, and competition. Barbershop music is a cappella, which means there are no musical instruments to help us. You cannot hide when you sing barbershop music. It is 4-part music, so all of us have a particular part to sing, and when we sing in a barbershop quartet, no one else is singing our part, so we have to know it very well. Our organization is celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. We will have a performance, currently trying to find a venue that we can afford to celebrate. That is one of the challenges for us as a nonprofit organization. Another challenge for us that a lot of people don't see is purchasing the music. It's actually not too expensive to purchase music for 30 or 40 people, but what's expensive is the copyrights. It is a unique copyright if you want to perform the music in public. It is another copyright if you want to perform the music for people who paid for a ticket. And it is yet another copyright if you want to post it on social media. We did not purchase the copyright to post anything that we're going to perform today on social media, so we would encourage you not to do that. I have the wonderful opportunity every Tuesday night at rehearsal to watch a little miracle take place. And that's because all of us come from very different backgrounds. We come from different households. We come from different economic backgrounds. We certainly come from different political backgrounds, theological backgrounds. We couldn't be more different. But when we walk in that door at rehearsal, somehow those individual important things to us take a back seat and we become one chorus. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to share that little miracle with you after the meeting. So thank you again for this opportunity, and we look forward to seeing you, and hopefully you'll look forward to hearing us. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Margaret and Chorus, for being here. I also wanted to take a second to acknowledge the other groups that we have. I know we have representatives from our local Seroptimus organization. We have the YWCA as well, and the Junior League. Are there any other groups of people that I'm missing? There were a few invitations around. Wonderful. Great. Then, Chair, I will pass it back to you for the reading of the proclamation, and then I believe we'll recess. The chorus will grace us with some songs, and then there'll be some opportunities for photos and some light refreshments before coming back to the meeting.
Very good. Thank you, Ellen. Mr. Vice Chair.
This is a Thurston County proclamation for Women's History Month. Whereas, would one of you like to read it? Okay.
So the proclamation for Women's
Hold
History
on.
Month. And so, how about, Commissioner Klaus, you want to do the first four, and then I can do the ones after?
Commissioner Grant has a copy as well.
Commissioner Grant, you have a copy? Okay.
Yep.
So how about Commissioner Grant, you want to start off with the first three, and then Commissioner Klaus the next three, and then I can do the remaining?
Sure. All right, proclamation for Women's History Month. Whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made and continue to make historic contributions to the growth and strength of Thurston County, the state of Washington, our nation, and the global community. And whereas these contributions have been critical to the growth and development of our economy, our cultural and artistic achievements, our social advancement, and all areas of accomplishment. And whereas American women play a unique role throughout the history of the nation by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force of the nation. And
whereas American women are particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in our nation. And whereas American women continue to have an increasing representation as public officials in all levels of government and serve our country courageously in the military. And whereas March has been proclaimed to be National Women's History Month since 1987. And
whereas we recognize the long storied history of great women helping to realize our nation's founding promise and highest aspirations. And whereas we all must continue working to build a world worthy of the dreams and goals of all women and girls. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Thurston County Commissioners hereby proclaims March 2024 as Women's History Month in Thurston County and encourages all citizens to honor women for their countless contributions to our community and nation. Adopted this 18th day of March 2025.
Okay, I think the plan is to recess our meeting. We'll step out into the atrium. I think there's going to be a short performance and some refreshments and a little bit of social time. So we'll recess the meeting. Okay, it's 3 PM. We're back from our recess, and we appreciate everybody's participation, and that was a lot of fun to hear from our community members and our Olympia Choral Group. So next up on the agenda is item 3, public comment. I have a sign-up sheet, and we'll offer anybody a chance on Zoom. Steal this from the vice chair. Make sure I get the rules right. Okay. Okay, Board of County Commissioners welcomes comments from the public at our meetings. There are some guidelines governing the comments to ensure they are appropriate. When introduced, please give your name, including the area of the county in which you reside. Address the board, not audience or staff. Silence your cell phones. Board does not respond directly to public comment. The county manager may follow up on an as-needed basis with specific items. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board and may not donate speaking time to another speaker. Board reserves the right to restrict a person's opportunity to address the meeting for good cause. Comments that are lewd, offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory are not allowed. Please be respectful. No outbursts of any kind. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business, remarks about pending land use permits, or similar matters that could eventually come before the board on appeal are not permitted. And finally, all written material provided to the county may be considered public record and subject to release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, RCW 4256. Thank you for your cooperation. And Mr. Pettit, you are up first with Mr. Kirkwood on deck.
We move the clock. My name is John Pettit. I live on Rich Road in East Olympia. I have a few different brief topics I want to handle, and as you may have recalled seeing me at your particular little retreat that you had, I think that the retreat was, while I didn't necessarily like the sequence or order in terms of having it just out there and what I thought was extremely short notice, in fact, probably lacking, but let's get past that. Let's get to the idea that you want to find ways to help improve. And I sent you in a little bit of a message this morning. And I guess here's the part is that I look at Thurston County. Thurston County has an amazing amount of great employees. And those employees are throughout many, many different departments. And they're great employees to me, especially if they're following within their boundaries of their job description. If they go outside of their job description, we have problems. But that being said, one of the things which these meetings are supposed to be about is public comment. When does the public have an opportunity to come and make a public comment? This is it. And the schedule of doing it once or twice a month means that it becomes very limited, and trying to go through up there to try to make connection and schedule something in the future is not taking care of immediate need. I'm going to suggest that that we definitely, one comment I heard yesterday was we got maybe too many different items that are important, for your list. Well, when my daughter was growing up, I explained to her, I gave her a dozen eggs. You wouldn't do it today because it's too expensive, but I gave her a dozen eggs. I said, start juggling them. So she got 1, okay, 2, okay, 3, and we started breaking them. If you have too many different things you're trying to work, you're going to break the eggs. Same is true for too many different goals, that you cannot accomplish so many different goals. So I'm going to discourage taking on too many different goals. Now, I'm going to be this isn't intended to sound too hard to you, because I think you have to understand the perspective of a taxpayer, and you guys are taxpayers too. But in the particular case, when we know that there's probably going to be a time that you're going to be looking for increasing taxes to help support the county, I took a note, and yes, I did a little investigation, and the truth is I virtually pay twice or more than all of you from what you actually pay in property tax, just on our homes. So when you raise a property tax up, there's a lot of people like me that's going to affect. I don't like my $11,200 a year in property tax, but it's what it is. I enjoy my place, I share it and everything. You've been there, Ty, some people have been there. So one of the things I wanted to do though is give you the last part of what I was going to mention is your job description. What is it you guys really do? Well, the real fact is I hate to tell you, you're not really executives. In fact, the bottom line is you're legislative. That's what you are. Not one of you has the ability to make any actual decision by yourself. Okay? So people here need to recognize sometimes they'll be disappointed if they're looking for you to solve a problem. We need to get them to a person that can help solve it. And just be very cautious and stay within the boundaries of your job description. I've run out of time, but I could have talked for 20 minutes. Anyway, thank you for you guys' work. I will always be a little hard on you, but somebody's got to be here to help make it happen. And hopefully this next gentleman, he can get some relief from his situation too.
Mr. Pettit, I can't not make a comment that at a previous public comment, you were arguing that our job is 85% executive, and I was thinking, I didn't agree with you. I agree 100% with what you said today, so I'm going to hold you to that.
Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Menzer, and I will say this, is I think right now you have made some adjustments within the structure of how things are. I actually think you got a really good county manager over here. Don't agree with everything the way he functions, but I do think he's a good county manager, and he has proof of it from a history. So let's just keep working towards improving Thurston County.
Thank you, Mr. Pettit.
Thank you.
Mr. Kirkwood, you're next. And then I've got a couple of folks I think were just signed up because they were here for the presentation.
Hello, thank you. My wife Valerie and I purchased our 5 acres on Henderson Inlet in 1988. At the time, it was zoned one residence.
I'm sorry, sir, can you just speak up a little bit?
Okay. At the time, it was zoned one.
Maybe, there you go. You might have to get the mic closer to your.
Our family purchased 5 acres on Henderson Inlet in 1988. It was zoned 1 house, 1 acre. In 1992, the property was downzoned to 1 house per 5 acres. In the meantime, we had short platted to 3 different parcels. We've paid additional property tax on those 2 parcels for the last 33 years. And at the same time, the county established a 250-foot shoreline buffer, which rendered 2/3 of that front acre untouchable. And view totally restricted by the trees. In 2018, we sold the house and the back parcel and moved to town. We used 2 remaining parcels for recreation. April 16th, 2023, the Shoreline Management Plan Committee, after much deliberation, recommended a 125-foot buffer, which is similar to other counties around our area. And then on July 29th, after minimal discussion, the Board of County Commissioners voted 2-1 to keep the 250-foot buffer. We were very disappointed, to say the least. We talked with our county commissioner at the time, and she said that she would get back to us, and we didn't ever hear back from you. Thurston County's, let's see, confiscation of private property for the public good is allowed in Washington as long as it isn't in excess. We feel like the difference between the county buffers is a measure of excess. When we mentioned it to our lawyer, she says, well, you do live in Thurston County, inferring that Thurston County has rather high standards, so to speak, or extreme standards, I'll say. So in 2024, we got a notice from the county assessor that our assessment has doubled. And we filed a protest and never heard back from them. 2025, we get the tax statement, and after several phone calls, and it's doubled. And after several phone calls, I do hear from the county. I get a hold of the county assessor, and he says, well, The hearing board is 2 to 3 years out. I suggest you go ahead and pay your taxes to avoid fines. That's screwy to me. And we never even heard that they had acknowledged that our complaint was registered. So I will say that we decided to put in a short little driveway, and after about 1,000 pages of design guidelines and drainage manuals, the process at the development office went very smoothly for $400. The property is covered with ivy. There's an acre of ivy. I started removing ivy. I brought that up next door, and they said, oh, we need a $700 permit to remove ivy from critical areas. That, I think, is an incredible insult. I do not understand why you guys don't do a better job of keeping ivy off your property that I take care of. And my neighbor has actually stripped 2 acres right down to the water, diverted the stream. There's a mud plume out into the bay every time it rains. So my wife and I are generally honorable citizens. We vote for and believe in progressive agendas. We recognize that life isn't always fair. And at the same time, we don't believe that the excessive buffer on our parcel can make up for all the habitat lost by previously developed waterfront properties and land stripped bare in Thurston County. My map here shows a 250-foot setback. The number of houses that are impacted is crazy. And most of these people don't even know it, that they can't build a doghouse, can't cut their ivy, can't cut their blackberries without a $700 permit from the county. It's no reason that citizens are upset with regulations. So those are my complaints. My good news is I'm with the Old Brew House Foundation. We were founded in 2008 to support the restoration of the old brew house, particularly the 1906 Old Brew House. And Tumwater owns the tower. Tumwater is too small an entity to take care of the issues on that particular site. We really advocate for some sort of county-wide effort. We consider it a county-wide asset, and now I can say it's a county-wide eyesore. We need some county-wide action. I just heard the other day that they have a $6 million bill just to do the seismic retrofit. So they're shutting down their effort. They're going to mothball it until they can come up with that kind of money.
I need you to wrap up, Mr. Wicker.
My time's up, sorry. So the good news is the Old Brew House Foundation will be taking our trailer around to community events this summer. And we'll be in cooperation with the Thurston County Historic Commission. The Thurston County Historic Commission just built a kiosk that we opened on March 8th, talking about diversity in our community, and look forward to doing another one. Thank you.
Thank you. Jess Caldwell and Eleanor Walters, I think they did not mark they wanted to give testimony. Is there? I don't see, there's no one on Zoom. So that'll wrap up public comment. Thank you. Next up is county manager update.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing to report at this time.
Okay, bring us to consent agenda, items A through O. Any request to remove an item this juncture from the consent agenda? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda, items A through OO.
Second?
Motion and second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 That motion carries. That brings us to department item 6A, Central Services, contract award for the Thurston County Scaled Back Courthouse Hill renovation, project number 25610.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Tom Stremke, Capital Project Manager for Central Services. We're asking approval to authorize interim Director of Central Services to execute a contract with M.A. Mortensen Company in the amount of $5,500,000 to do the renovations to the Scaled Back Thurston County Courthouse project. I'm here to answer any questions.
Questions from the board? Of course, we've had many sessions regarding this, been in the newspaper, so folks should kind of know what's going on here. No questions, I'd call for a motion.
I move to award a contract for Thurston County Scaled Back Courthouse Hill renovations project number 25610 to M.A. Mortensen Company of Kirkland.
Second.
Would you mute?
Could you mute yourself, Commissioner Grant? We're getting background noise.
Washington in the amount of $5,500,000 and authorize the interim director of central services to execute the contract and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
Motion and second to award this contract to Mortensen Company of Kirkland, Washington in the amount of 5.5 million. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Tom. Next up is 7A, Public Health and Social Services, Agreement with Catholic Community Services. And Mark Moffitt's here from Public Health.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, County Manager. I'm Mark Moffitt, Program Manager for Social Services. This contract is with Catholic Community Services. We've had this contract in place for about 5 years now. And to give you a little background, every year, as you know, we do a point-in-time count to determine how many homeless folks live in our county. And one of the data points that is retrieved from that are whether or not they're veterans. And so from those point-in-time counts, we know that veterans make up between 5 and 7% of the total homeless population, which equals between 50 and 75 people. What this contract does is allows us to meet the veteran when and where they're able. We know that individuals, we can't force them into services. So this contract will allow us, if a veteran comes into the Lacey Veterans Hub or if we see them on the street, we can refer them directly to Catholic Community Services, allowing up to 3 bed nights for each veteran. Last year, we used 543 of those bed nights, which gave them a bed, a shower, a meal, and then also the opportunity to connect them with additional resources. This contract is for $49,275, and it's a fee for service, so we don't pay unless a veteran actually stays, and that equates to about $45 per night per bed. And that's all I have.
Questions from the board for Mark?
I'll just say thanks to Mark for coming in and doing this item off the consent calendar and you know, being so gracious with your time as we put this on the department items list so that we could all hear how important this work is and just kind of give the community the opportunity to hear a little bit more about it. I really appreciate this and just knowing that the service is being provided just right across the street from where we're at here is really special that our community does things to prioritize services for homeless veterans. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, ready for motion?
I move to approve the contract with Catholic Community Services for the amount of $49,275 for the period of January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025 to provide shelter services for eligible homeless veterans in the Drexel House Emergency Shelter and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the contract. Catholic Community Services, any discussion on the motion? No? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries unanimously.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So we should have time to do commissioner reports before we move to public hearings. Commissioner Grant, I'll give you first opportunity if there's anything you wanted to go through.
Can we come back to me? I'm gonna move rooms.
Absolutely. Commissioner Klaus.
Okay, so I'll keep mine quick since I know it's been a while and we probably all have a lot to share. As far as my external boards and commissions, I had a regional housing council meeting on the 26th of February. I toured Joint Animal Services with Commissioner Grant on March 10th. That was my second time touring the Animal Services facility, but I find it rewarding every time.
Did you get a cat out of it?
I didn't get a cat, but maybe Commissioner Grant will share a different kind of update when it's her turn. But I didn't walk away with a furry friend, surprisingly, although I really wish I did. But that was a really awesome opportunity to see what's going on there. and the important work they're doing at Animal Services. We all had the Board of Health meeting on the 11th. I had a Solid Waste Advisory Committee meeting on the 6th and an ORCA meeting on the 12th. The ORCA meeting kind of ties in with one of the events I did, which was the Expanding Your Horizons conference on the 15th, which was a conference for middle school girls and trans and non-binary youth in STEAM topics. And I attended the ORCA meeting in person last week so that I could watch a live demo of one of their clean air. Its clean air demonstration is really cool. They taught us how to do 3 different demos, and I picked up on one related to inversions, and I don't have a background in science, but I listened to kind of the things they were saying, and there's this really cool demo where like they put cold water on top of warm water and like flip the jar upside down and pull. Mr. Pettit probably would enjoy this, different colored jars of water, but they flip it over and pull the paper out, and depending on what's on top and bottom, the colors mix. And I was able to kind of use that and formulate a presentation for the workshop with the middle schoolers on Saturday by connecting inversions and cold weather bands to public policy making, and kind of explain to the youth how we use science to inform our decision making as commissioners. They had a policy simulation where they did like a policy on burn bans in the winter, which was really fun. I also attended the NACO conference in DC with Commissioner Mejia and Commissioner Fournier. I toured Wolf Haven with Commissioner Mincer, and I had a community meeting with some folks who live on Henderson Inlet, and that's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Mejia.
Thank you. For me, Legislative Steering Committee, been really busy on that. I've been testifying on different bills. I also visited several legislators to talk about WASAC's priorities. Intercity transit meeting, which was in the past, and one which was graciously covered by Commissioner Menser. Thank you so much for that. Attended the Boston Harbor Association annual meeting, the BHASO, attended study, met with staff from the Dispute Resolution Center, attended the Thurston Regional Planning Council, Board of Health Policy Subcommittee meeting, the Latino Civic Alliance Day, met with local unions with Commissioner Fournier to discuss courthouse needs. Also did the tour of the Wolf Haven tour, and I did it with Commissioner Fournier as well. And that was just really great to see. Attended the Interbranch Advisory Committee meeting, and I'll be providing a more in-depth update on that tomorrow. Attended the retirement for Under Sheriff Dave Pearsall. And I also put my old hat back on and volunteered with One America to fill out citizenship applications. And so it was a lot of fun to do that. I attended the National Association of Counties Conference. I will give a detailed report at tomorrow's Commissioners Check-in, but some of the highlights is I got asked to do an interview for the Stepping Up Initiative, and Commissioner Fournier joined me. It was great to highlight our county and to highlight the work that we are doing here locally, and a huge shout out to Nate Block for all of his help. And thank you so much to Leonard as well for assisting in getting some of the information and quotes. Visited the American History Museum with Commissioner Fournier, so huge congratulations to him. It was really great to see Tenino highlighted in the segment of history of money. And we visited with congressional delegates with Commissioner Fournier, but also participated in congressional visits with WASAC, as well as the National Association of Hispanic County Officials.
In addition to what's already been said, I really enjoyed I know everybody did, but the Wolf Haven visit was really cool. 43 years they've had that facility there, and for the last, I don't know, almost 10, it's been a wolf sanctuary, which is really cool. And their future plans are really exciting, how they're gonna work on bringing back some more public-facing areas for Wolf Haven. And so I hope that we can find ways to support that, and I think there's some opportunities. And then attended their Wolves and Wine Gala the next night, and got to sit with the director of Wolf Haven, and there was their keynote speaker was really cool. I was sitting with the gentleman, and I didn't know who he was until I heard him start talking, and then I recognized his voice from every wildlife documentary on BBC that I've watched over the last 10 years. His name's Chris Morgan, and it was really cool. He's got all these really well-known and well-done documentaries on large predators, and he's been to every continent and seen every bear that's in the wild, and he even had videos of bears like coming up within 3 feet of him and him stop right there. And so it's pretty neat. And Wolf Haven raised $195,000 to support their annual operations, and that was it was a great turnout. Attended Under Sheriff Pearsall's retirement. Congratulations to him, and thank you for the years of service. In addition to the things mentioned already, I attended West Olympia Rotary meeting, where we talked about things that are going on at the county. There were a number of questions about courthouse future and prospects. And I got a lot of really good compliments from some of our, I guess, kind of some mature judges and legal professionals in the community that have been here for a long time and spent a lot of time in the old courthouse since it was built. And they said that they were really hopeful for some of the planning that we have, and they really appreciate the approach that we're taking. So that was nice to hear from some folks that were there from the start. While at NACO, I attended some workshops on arts and cultural economic development. We finished off our LTAC meetings since the last commissioner meeting, I believe, and we've got some recommendations coming forth that are pretty exciting. And then attended an EMS council meeting where we talked about the EMS council's the Medic One comp plan.
Sure, Grant, you ready? Go for it.
Yep, I am. Okay. Hi, everybody. Let's see. So I was pretty busy last week. I knew that I was going to be virtual this week, so I packed some things in the last couple weeks. I attended the Pack Mountain orientation and consortium convening. They had a whole day board meeting. Attended Thurston Regional Planning Council, Board of Health, the Transportation Policy Board meeting, and then also attended the first Thurston County Opioid Abatement Council meeting. I also spent a ton of time with some of our different offices here at Thurston County. I was able to fit in 11 different tours, and sorry, I'm trying to get my screen bigger here, but different tours. I went on tours and did orientations for central services, public health, emergency services, public works, IT, human resources, pretrial, public defense. Toured with Judge Thomas and Ted, the Family Justice Center and the Juvenile Detention and Courts, the Thurston County Jail, and then attended, like Commissioner Klaus said, the Joint Animal Services Tour, which resulted in me adopting a kitty. And so that was a fun tour. And the kitty's doing great, and we're absolutely in love with her. I also started working on some district engagement. We attended the Yelm Senior Center board meeting out and actually recruited a couple of new advisory members for our Lewis Mason Thurston area Agency on Aging Council. I also want to tell everyone that they are doing bingo every month at the Yelm Senior Center, and the next one is on April 7th, and you're all welcome to come join. And I will be there, and we will be playing bingo. So also met with a constituent out in the area and attended a city council meeting for Yelm, attended the Yelm Community Conversations meeting. And during the community conversations meeting in Yelm, it was announced that Yelm has an incredible director of engage. I don't know exactly her name, but Lynn Roy announced that 25 events will be happening across Yelm between now and August. Yelm has a lot of things going on, and their farmers market is opening on May 3rd. And so encouraging folks to look at the schedule and get out and and be in Yelm. Also met with some state and federal officials, met with Mary Hall, Sheriff Sanders, Senator Murray staff, Senator Cantwell staff, and Representative Matt Marshall. And then attended two different events. I went to the Elm Dollars for Scholars auction and dinner, and I attended the Rebuilding Together Build It breakfast. And then yesterday, we all attended a board retreat, and I thought that was one of my favorite events that we've had in the last couple of weeks. So that's me.
Thank you, Commissioner. So my report is kind of ridiculous just because I missed the last meeting. So I have like 2 meetings worth. I won't hit it all, just try to hit a few highlights. I was able to attend Under Sheriff Pearsall and Kathleen Bright from the Auditor's Office retirement events. Thank you to those employees, and obviously Under Sheriff Pearsall has been a fixture, Thurston County Public Safety for 38 years, I think it was. So it was cool to be part of that. Had a chance to sit on a panel, it's called the Alice Summit. United Way put it together. I was sort of representing local government leadership on a panel related to housing and economy. How to find ways to help the folks that are working full-time but aren't able to meet basic needs for cost of living in Thurston County. So there was 2 great panels, or one really great panel, and then the one I was on was pretty good. Did my best on that, but it was a good event overall. Had a chance to speak on another panel at the Public Interest Environmental Law Conference in Eugene, Oregon, where I was asked to sit on a panel called Saving the Effort to Save Washington's Legacy Forests. So I was there just to there were people there with the scientific information. I was there to give the perspective of what a local government working with the state agency, what that relationship was like and how we were successful or not successful. I met with the new lands commissioner. As folks know, he paused new introduction of old forests or mature forest sales. But what we wanted to be sure he knew is that we had done work presented in our October 1st letter to the Board of Natural Resources in Thurston County to show that all the board feet that would have been represented by the legacy forest cuts could be cut in harvest-ready plantation forest areas within Capital State Forest, and therefore keeping beneficiaries 100% whole for 10, 15, possibly even 20 years. So we just wanted to make sure that while he was doing that at a statewide level, he was aware of the work that had been done in Thurston County to try to make that policy actually successful. So that was a good conversation. Those were the big ones. Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Big Brunch. I did want to point out that we got to meet the new executive director, Keith Ann Campbell, and there's a backlog of men volunteers for the Big Brothers, Big Sisters. So there's a waiting list. So if there's anybody out there that would like to volunteer, there were some awesome stories. I mean, I was in tears, honestly, because they had a guy who had become an adult and he was like living in Seattle. He'd stayed in contact with his big brother who was, retired at this point. And the 2 of them were on stage kind of telling the story of how it worked through the years and how much their relationship had meant on both sides. So it was pretty inspiring. A lot of meetings besides that. I won't go into, I was very busy. So we will stop there, and it's just about time for our public hearing. So we're adjourned for the business meeting. We've come to the end of the agenda. We're going to go directly into 2 public hearings. And let me get the order of those. First up is the public hearing to consider the application of Dana Passage Water System for a non-exclusive franchise for a water distribution system within Thurston County rights-of-way. Purpose of this public hearing is to accept and consider public comment on the application of Dana Passage Water System. And this is a hybrid public hearing. Those wishing to testify have joined us by Zoom, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select VOCC meetings, hearings, and work session agendas. The information of how to join this public hearing remotely is posted there. If you do not wish to testify but would like to listen and follow along, please watch the live stream through the Thurston County YouTube channel to help us manage in-meeting attendance. Matt Unzelman, County Engineer, will provide background information on this topic. Anyone on Zoom will be called out. You don't need to sign up in any special way. Each person will have 4 minutes to testify. Time may not be given to another speaker. When you are called on, please state your name and area of the county in which you reside. We're opening the public hearing, and we will look to Matt for some background information, summarization of written comments, and any additional information requested by the board.
Sure. My name is Matt Usman, Thurston County Engineer. First off, I want to start today off by saying that a notice of today's hearing was published in the newspaper as well as posted here in the atrium. We posted it at the Timberland Library, and then we also posted it at multiple locations within the neighborhood. The Dana Passage Water System has applied for a franchise agreement to operate and maintain a water distribution within the Thurston County right-of-ways of, I got, for the record, read off this whole list of roads, so hang in there with me. Island View Court, northeast, Island View Drive, northeast, Willow Drive, northeast, 85th Avenue, northeast, Dana Street, northeast, Evergreen Drive, northeast, 83rd Court, northeast, 84th Court, northeast, and 85th Court, northeast. The existing system has 79 water connections and nearly 3 miles of PVC pipe. Staff have reviewed the application and are recommending the Board of County Commissioners to approve this application. To this date and time, we have not received any public comment on this application.
Any questions for Matt? Okay, we're going to move to public testimony. Is there anyone who is in the room that would like to provide public comment? And I'll go to Zoom. We have a few folks that are checked in for Zoom. Michelle Harvey, would you like to provide comment today?
No, I'm fine. I'm representing Dana Passage.
Okay, very good, thank you. Julie Parker?
Sorry, it took me a moment to unmute myself. I just wanted to let the board know that Thurston PUD is in support of this application for franchise. We have no comments on it. We are working with the Dana Passage Water System. They are looking at potentially joining the PUD in the future to be their water manager, and we fully support this franchise agreement.
Ms. Park, for the record, could you just make sure I got your name right and then who you're representing or what your role is with PUD?
Yes, I'm Julie Parker. I'm the Assistant General Manager at Thurston PUD.
Thank you so much. I don't see anyone else signed up. So that will close public comment. Any discussion to be had before we close the public hearing?
I have none.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing and accept the application of Dana Passage Water System for a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a water distribution system within Thurston County's right-of-way.
Second.
A motion and a second, Commissioner Klaus, on the motion to close public hearing and accept the application. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries, and I'll bang this thing shut. All right, so let's go to our second hearing.
Now we have to take the motion to approve the resolution. I'd like to move to approve resolution granting Dana Passage Water System a non-exclusive franchise for a water distribution system within designated Thurston County rights-of-way for a term of 10 years.
Second.
Motion is second to approve resolution granting Dana Passage Water System the franchise. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Mejia.
Thank you. I would just like to thank Matt and the staff at Public Works for working with the community members from the Dana Passage. I know that a lot of work has gone into this and a lot of communication, and also would like to thank the community members for Dana Passage as you know, they're working through this process. Thank you for your patience, and just very thankful for the collaboration that's happened.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Other discussion on the motion? Okay, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Mr. Grant, is it?
Two thumbs.
Okay, that motion carries. So we are now going to move forward with the second public hearing this afternoon, which is a public hearing to consider the application of Woodard Place Water Company for a non-exclusive franchise for a water distribution system within Thurston County rights-of-way. The purpose of the public hearing is to accept and consider public comment on the application of Woodard Place Water Company for a non-exclusive franchise for water distribution system within Thurston County rights-of-way. Again, this is a hybrid public hearing. Those wishing to testify have joined by Zoom, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment, or are present today. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online, select BOCC meetings, hearings, and work session agendas. The information to join the public hearing remotely is posted there. If you do not wish to testify but would like to listen and follow along, please watch the live stream through the Thurston County YouTube channel to help us manage attendance. Again, Matt Enzelman, County Engineer, will provide background information. Those on Zoom will be called out, do not need to sign up in any other way. You will have 4 minutes to give testimony. Time may not be given to another person, and when you are called on, state your name and address for the record. All right, so we're now open, and Matt will present background information on this application.
Thank you, Commissioner. My name is Matt Ellsman, Thurston County Engineer. Again, I want to start off this public hearing by stating that a notice of today's hearing was published in a newspaper as well as posted in the atrium, the Timberland Library, and at multiple locations within the neighborhood. The Woodard Place Water Company has applied for a franchise agreement to construct, operate, and maintain a water distribution system within the right-of-way on South Bay Road. Construction includes installing a water line beneath South Bay Road north of 26th Avenue, and it connects a residence to a community well system on the other side of the road. Staff have reviewed the application and are recommending the Board of County Commissioners proceed with granting this application. And we have not received any public comment regarding this franchise agreement to date either.
Questions for Matt on the application? Nope, okay, then another call for public comment on the Woodard Place Water Company application. Seeing no one in the room and seeing no one online, that's that. Any discussion of the board before we move on to the proposed actions? Hearing none, I will ask for a motion.
I move to close the public hearing and accept the application of Woodard Place Water Company for a non-exclusive franchise to construct, operate, and maintain a water distribution system within Thurston County's rights of way.
Second.
Motion and second to close the public hearing and accept the application. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passed unanimously. Our public hearing is closed. And then, yeah, we can do the next one outside the context of the public hearing. If there's a motion to approve.
Move to approve the resolution granting Woodard Place Water Company a non-exclusive franchise for a water distribution system within designated Thurston County rights of way for a term of 10 years.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the resolution granting the non-exclusive franchise. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have an aye from Commissioner Grant. That motion passes unanimously. And who's the other one for today? Who's everybody? Oh, we have Transportation Benefit District at 4. So that gives us a 17-minute break. Perfect. Thank you, everybody.
Welcome to the Transportation Benefit District. It is Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. It is 4 p.m. I am Carolina, the president of the Transportation Benefit District. So if you are tuning in for that one, you are in the correct meeting. This meeting is being live streamed through our Thurston County YouTube channel. To the left of me, I have board member Commissioner Wayne Fournier, board member Commissioner Ty Menser, Vice President Commissioner Emily Klaus, and online we have board member Commissioner Rachel Grant. So we'll start our meeting off with the approval of the March 18th, 2025 agenda. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the March 18th agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay, the agenda is approved. And I forgot to introduce our very important members over there on the side. We have our county manager, Leonard Hernandez, joining us, as well as our public works director, Karen Wees, and our county engineer, Matt Unselman. So thank you. Next is the approval of the meeting minutes from August 20th, 2024. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the meeting minutes from August 20th, 2024. It's been a while.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay, the meeting minutes are approved. Next is an opportunity for the public to address the board. And so the Transportation Benefit District welcomes comments from the public at their meetings. However, there are some guidelines governing such comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact that most meetings are televised. The general speaking guidelines are as follow. Please introduce yourself, including the address or reside in the county. Please address the board, not the audience or staff. Please silence your cell phone. The board does not respond to public comments. On a need basis, the county manager will follow up, or the county public works director will follow up on specific items. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board. So with that, we'll start. We only have one person in the boardroom. Mr. Pettit, would you like to provide public comment?
Yes, thank you. My name is John Pettit. I live on Rich Road. This is almost a redundant comment because I have a consistent pattern that I'm taking on this. The Transportation Benefit District was formed a lot of years ago. It was formed on the basis of potentially creating an additional revenue source. And transportation benefit districts have to be for very specific projects. It's not just a general fund for throwing more money in. As such, though, I will state that I obviously will be publicly opposed to a transportation benefit district taxation of any nature on the basis that so long as the county continues to extract, example this year, $5.7 million out of the road fund, it seems inappropriate to me that we want to get some more revenue to do projects because we don't have enough revenue. When we have diverted, you've taken action to divert funds from the road fund, which is where these funds would be particularly benefiting. So, other than the fact that, you know, I, like anyone, I'm always tired of taxes. I just think we need to get our finances in proper order in terms of not taking money out of an existing fund and then turn around and want to supplement that fund with additional tax. And I think that that's something which certainly if you want to take action to move forward with something, you need to be prepared to explain it to the citizens that are going to be subject. The only other concern I have, and I think you'll be addressed a little later, has to do with because of the unique nature, the board is not directly as tied into the county commissioners currently. And because of certain boundaries within structure of law, constitution and such, the imposition of a tax on an area that that would not be subject to tax, for you to be able to support or vote to create a tax, you need to live in the district. And I believe you actually have at least one person, possibly two people, that don't actually live in the proposed district or the existing district that you have. So the basis is you can't impose or vote for a tax that you don't actually are subject to. So therefore, that's the reason why there's a question. I'm sure that Matt will probably have some answers about that, but, and technically speaking, by law, if a district does not have any projects, they have no debt, the districts are supposed to be closed by state law within 30 days of the time where they have no debt. So we've never had a project, ever, year after year, never a project. And so it properly needs to be actually closed and dissolved. It'll require putting a public notice in the paper for 3 times in a month or so, and just want to comply with what the law is. We don't want to be lawbreakers, do we? So that being said, that's all I really care about giving you today, and encourage you that someday we don't take any money out of the regular general levy, and then I can be very supportive of a transportation benefit district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pettit. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone else in the boardroom and not seeing anyone online. So I will close public comment and we'll move on to department items. The first item, item 3A, is to ratify the assignment of the Thurston County Transportation Benefit District officers for 2025.
Yes, thank you. Karen Weiss, Public Works Director. On December 17th of 2024, the Board of County Commissioners assigned Commissioner Mejia as President, Commissioner Klaus as Vice President, and Commissioners Mincer, Fournier, and Grant as board members of the 2025 Transportation Benefit District.
Thank you. Any questions for Karen? Okay, is there a motion?
Move to ratify the assignment of the Thurston County Transportation Benefit District officers for 2025.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Okay. You have your officers for 2025, and me and Commissioner Klaus, or Board Member Vice President Klaus, are on the hook. Okay. Next is item 3B, which is the 2024 Thurston County Transportation Benefit District Annual Report. Passing it back to Director Weiss.
Okay, thank you. By state law and also our Transportation Benefit Charter, it requires the production of an annual report. And then this report, it would include the status of transportation projects, costs, revenue, expenditures, and construction schedules. As we are currently an unfunded transportation benefit district, the highlights of our annual report for 2024 are that 2 transportation benefit district meetings were held during the year, and we received no revenues and did not have any expenditures for the year. We did incur about just a little over $1,200 in liabilities for costs for activities spent on the Transportation Benefit District, and those would be reimbursed should we ever fund the TBD.
Thank you. Any questions for Karen? Okay. Is there a motion?
I move to accept the 2024 Thurston County Transportation Benefit District Annual Report and direct staff to post its availability in the newspaper of record for Thurston County.
Second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion passes. Okay, moving on to item 3C. This is a Thurston County Transportation Benefit District organizational structure and funding options.
Okay, thank you. Both Matt and I will be presenting this today, and they're just getting the PowerPoint up. Many of the items included in this presentation are follow-up items from our last Transportation Benefit District in August, based on some of the requests that the board had.
Oh, good. Down. There you go.
Okay,
Oh, down.
all right. So now that we've technically got that technical challenge figured out. Okay, so today we're going to cover an option for the board, the assumption of TBD powers. We're going to address the question about district eligibility for our TBD board members. Going to provide a road fund projection, which provides the why we're talking about some of this. We were asked to bring back some potential language and information about an advisory vote and some specific projects that could be funded under a TBD. That next slide. Okay. So as we were doing research for some of these other items that we're going to be discussing today, we did find a potential tool that the board could consider in terms of an organizational structure. There's an RCW. This was enacted after our TBD was formed. I believe ours was formed in 2014, and this was something that was added into law in 2015. But there is an RCW, RCW 3674, which allows the Board of County Commissioners to assume the Transportation Benefit District rights, powers, functions, and obligations. And if this was something we chose to move forward with, it would, the current TBD would cease to exist as a separate legal entity. There are quite a few advantages from this. One of them is that currently our PAO office is not allowed to advise or represent the Transportation Benefit District. It would requires outside counsel. So it addresses legal liability concerns. It is potentially a more efficient process. Separate meetings such as this aren't required. You can integrate board business in your regular business, and with budget discussions, there's some synergy and conversations there, and it adds to the transparency. We did just make a note that 85% of cities and towns with TBDs have assumed powers. And I will also add, hot off the press, we learned last week that Jefferson County is the first county to have a funded transportation benefit district. They are starting to collect fees and taxes as of April 1st, and they also chose this particular structure. So next slide. For consideration, the steps to do so would be the Board of County Commissioners would adopt a resolution to set the public hearing. There would be public notice requirements in there. We would hold a public hearing, and then if it was determined to be in the best interest of the county to move forward with this, there would be an adoption of a resolution or ordinance assuming the powers of the TBD, and would require an amendment to our Thurston County Code that does designate the TBD board in an independent capacity. So I'll pause and ask if there are questions on that.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, don't move on. Somebody else has a question. I have one.
Does anyone have a question before your board member Menser?
Thank you. My question is, so we've had this open for the possibility of funding, and so it's like a thing. So by moving it, assuming it under the Board of County Commissioners, does it retain its status as a thing? I mean, are we still in the same status of having this thing that exists that could be funded, or is it just, like, what is the nature of it? Like, do we still do an annual report in the same way? We just do it from the BOCC, not from the TBD, or what changes?
I believe it.
If it stays on, like, if we just move it but don't fund it, what will we see as a difference?
It is still a transportation benefit district.
Okay.
It is just under the umbrella of the Board of County Commissioners. We would still have the same statutory requirements to file an annual report. So, I mean, it absolves or dissolves the separate legal entity. It just becomes the transportation benefit district under the Board of County Commissioners.
Probably a little more efficient, and like, then our administrative costs would be reduced, I would think. Those
And-
nominal ones that were
Yep.
kind of have piled up over the.
Yep, and again, you could be advised by the PAO's office on this,
Which,
as statutory.
good, there's pros and cons.
Correct.
I guess I'll just lay my thoughts out on the fact that I am currently not in favor of moving in this direction because we're having one meeting a year for the TBD. Going through this process for me just seems an additional cost to the TBD, to the county, and of course it ends up being paid out of the county road fund. So for me, at this time, I think it's premature until we've had discussions on how we're going to be moving forward with the TBD and if we're going to fund it or not. So that for me, I don't think we're there.
Commissioner, I think this is research that staff did just for your consideration, and it's definitely not something that has to be decided right here and now. So I think this is good food for thought, and I appreciate staff's being proactive in looking at another option. But as you mentioned, there are a couple of things that, as the presentation goes on, there's other things that are being weighed here that we can come back at a later time or even get more information about pros and cons or how other counties do it. So,
Question.
Go ahead, Board Member Fournier.
So by keeping them separate, it would allow us to obtain outside counsel and have access to an attorney and legal advice for the purposes of the Transportation Benefit District?
That's correct. In fact, legal counsel given to the
Yeah.
Transportation Benefit District does not need to be from outside counsel.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions. Do we move on to the next slide?
Absolutely.
I just want to make a point.
Go ahead.
It's not a question. I'm in favor of it. I don't see any reason not to do it. I don't think we give up anything. We just cut our administrative costs a little bit and the confusion of the public of what are we and what do we do and how are we separate. So, not that I'm, could do it whenever, but I think preliminarily, I think it sounds good for me. So, just want to say that.
And, I'll pop in too and just say that I also am in favor of it. I did have a briefing on this, and so that's why I'm not asking a ton of questions like I usually do, but I had a chance to ask those questions.
So then, I guess I'll ask Board Member Spencer and Grant, is there a timeline where you would like to continue to have this conversation or move forward with this?
I don't really care. If there's a third board member that wants to do it, we can do it then. We probably won't have another meeting for a while. Well, we are going to discuss some things related to the potential tax, so. No, I guess the answer to your question is no, I don't have any specific timeline.
What's the chicken and what's the egg here? If we don't have projects, and we're not going to develop projects and not come up with a funding plan, do we even need to talk about the governing structure?
I think we.
Or do we finalize that we want to do something with this and set up a funding structure, then decide the governing, or do we decide the governing and then talk more about this thing that we haven't sussed out if we're gonna do anything with?
I think that's a great question, and I think it is, it does matter in terms of if you decide to move forward with funding the TBD in some form or fashion, right? I think that is then a discussion about what makes sense from a logical standpoint, whether you'd put this organizational structure in place first and then fund the TBD, or vice versa.
Yeah.
We wanted to bring it to you as an option that we found as we were doing research, as we've talked about, and for you to think about. This is your first time to hear about it. We are seeing that this seems to be the model that is adopted by most of the TBDs when they are funding them. And so, we were truly looking at it from an efficiency standpoint. But, this is something that we can continue to have discussions on depending on other decisions that we make.
When I think about efficiency, I think about and I bring up legal representation, getting strong counsel that advises specifically on the issue that we're dealing with tells, is much more efficient than the way that we get counsel, which is we have to ask for it and sometimes we receive it. So like, the efficiency argument, I would want to have discussions about, legal representation and what that looks like. But like, the way that we set up the governing organization, is that going to be influenced more on the way we fund and what types of projects, or is it the other way around? I don't, do I want, in my mind, I'm trying to figure out, do we need to figure out if this thing's going to exist and what we want to do with it and how we fund it? And then we figure out, yeah, please help me.
Board Member Menser? And then I'll get Board Member Grant.
Two thoughts. One is, I understand your point, and it's probably Commissioner Mejia's point too, which is if we're not going to do anything, if the TBD is truly just going to sit there, then what's the point of even the lift? So I can understand that. But as far as timing and whether it's justified. On the council point, though, I just wanted to make the point that we always have the right to go out and get outside counsel in a specialty area. It's just that
Permission.
Can the prosecutor veto our ability
Yes.
to do that?
Yes, we have to get permission from the
Okay,
prosecutor,
I get your
and
point
if they
then.
say no, then we have to go get a court order from a judge. But that's a,
But, well, my experience has been, like, I'm thinking of like the solid waste contract and some of the other areas, bond counsel, like, I've never seen a situation where the board wanted to go to outside counsel and the prosecutor like, nope, we're gonna represent, like, they're overworked, and if we wanna go out and hire outside counsel and take work off their plate, I think they're 99.9% gonna agree to that. So I see it as giving us options, flexibility, whereas if we're a separate entity, we don't, and it's something mundane that they could easily handle. Now we're having to go out and get counsel where we wouldn't really want to otherwise, because PAO can't technically represent us. But again, that's if we have projects and we're doing stuff, it's probably not a concern.
if there was a safety feature built in that, where there was a potential because we're all elected officials. I don't care what you say, politics becomes part of it always, or there's issue of that. If there was a safety feature built in where you had a conflict list that was established and the board didn't have to ask permission for outside counsel, if the board could say, we think there's a conflict here, we'd like to go to our list of pre-established and approved outside counsel, I think that would, I don't know, to me, that's something I think could be useful or looked into, but
Well-
maybe I'm getting outside of this discussion.
1 second.
Yeah,
Board Member
yeah.
Grant?
Yeah, well, I think that I think that we could go round and round about this, but essentially it comes down to the question of, is this a tool for us to have funding in the future? Do we want to explore it? And do we need counsel, and what kind of counsel do we need? And do we want to spend money on that or not?
We spend money on it
outside counsel
regardless.
or not?
1 second.
Yeah, well, yeah, but, it's, in my mind, I'm thinking, I support this because I think it's a tool for us to further projects that we will choose in the future, and essentially a way for us to add some funding.
Thank you. Okay,
Next item?
so, yeah,
Okay.
we'll go ahead and continue, and then I guess we'll just round up towards the end on whether the board wants to move forward, and I guess I'll just lay my point again on every meeting that the TBD has is an administrative cost that is being charged to the county road fund currently. If we go through this process, that's going to be another administrative cost that is going to be charged. And, whether we fund the TBD, like that, for me, that's where these, like, county road fund is not in the best of shapes. And I just want to be sure that we're protecting it as much as possible. And so for me, that's my concern is I want to have, like, what is the future of the TBD first in terms of funding? Because I feel like the structure, again, it can be an administrative cost where we don't really have money. It's actually cents that can go into paving our roads and maintaining our roads.
Okay, very good. All right. The next item for discussion is, this is in response to some public comment that was brought in August of 2024, and I believe was echoed again today. The question is, if a board member lives outside of a outside of the TBD district boundaries, what is their eligibility to serve as a part of the TBD governing body? And so the logic for this is there's an RCW that determines who can serve as a county commissioner. They must reside within their commissioner district. And they become then the legislative authority. The legislative authority by RCW 3673020 constitutes the TBD governing body. Therefore, the TBD board member may reside within an unincorporated area of the county and serve on the TBD board.
Thank you. Any questions on this section? Okay.
No, I do have a quick, I guess I have a clarification. I just want to make it publicly known that I believe all of us live within our districts, correct?
That's not the question.
Oh. Okay, I just was wondering if that had come up earlier.
The question was whether or not you needed to live in the unincorporated area, since the TBD district is the unincorporated area of the county.
Okay.
Okay, as we're gonna move to the next part of the conversation about what we can do within a TBD and specific projects and the potential for discussion on advisory vote. Again, wanted to provide a little more context again as to why we're having some of these conversations. As you've stated, Commissioner Mejia, our road fund, not dissimilarly to the general fund, is showing a decrease. This is in fund balance. Factors on this are decreasing revenue, including motor vehicle fuel tax, which is not increasing by any means. It's definitely trending down. Our expenses are increasing due to inflationary factors, and also we're a growing community. So as we build infrastructure, we also need to take care of that infrastructure. So those two things together, decreasing revenues and our increases expenses, are resulting in this projection for the road fund. One of the things that Public Works has done very well is take seed money and leverage that seed money for capital projects with other money, grant money, transportation impact fee, REIT dollars, and we've done that very well. And so one of the advantages that funding the TBD could do for us is to provide that seed money. So we could, take, right now we're transferring about $1.5 million historically from the road fund into our capital program. So the TBD provides an opportunity to sort of supplement or replace, I guess I should use the word, replace that funding out of the road fund that would be used to leverage our capital program. And Matt, what's our leveraging of dollars approximately?
For every $1 of local transportation funding that we put into the program, we get $7 of larger amounts of state and federal grant funding.
So for little investment, it pays some pretty big dividends in terms of growing infrastructure in the county. Okay. The next slide.
I'm sorry.
Nope, you're good.
Slacking over there, Matt.
Give you the elbow. Just a reminder of what we can do under a transportation benefit district. We can do preservation, safety, and technology projects and programs. And again, the options under the transportation benefit district are a car tab fee or vehicle fee, a sales tax, and there's both councilmanic options for those and also voter approved options. And we'll get to a table with those a little bit later. The next slide is another follow-up item from our August 20th meeting, 2024. So the board asked us to come back with information on what an advisory vote could look like if we put an advisory vote on the ballot. So this provides the timeline and the costs for doing so. This would be to gauge public opinion on funding of the TBD should the board decide to do so. And so if we were going to be on the August 5th primary of this year, we'd need to turn in a resolution to the county auditor by May 2nd of this year. The vote itself would be certified on the 19th, and that would currently cost almost $200,000, just a little, either a little under or a little over $200,000 to place that on the ballot. I will say that that can be refined as of May 13th. Other items may be on the ballot, and I will not be the right person to try and describe how this all gets allocated out, but if there are other items on the ballot, that gets allocated out to some of the other jurisdictions and would potentially decrease the number that you're seeing there, because the cost would be spread out. Otherwise, the general election on November 4th, we would need to provide a resolution by August 5th with a November 25th certification, and that cost is just under $100,000. So if the board were to move forward with an advisory vote, we would need to, next steps would be to submit a resolution to the county auditor that would call for a special election, and by special election, that can be done at either a primary or general election. And in that, we would provide advisory vote language. So I'll pause there and have Matt go to the next slide. So this is just sample advisory vote language. We have not contracted with legal counsel at this point to come up with what it would be specifically. So what you're getting is based on some other examples that we were able to find what that advisory vote language could look like. So the first option is for the question to the public about an annual vehicle fee of $20 in unincorporated Thurston County, and the second one is a 0.01% sales and use tax in unincorporated Thurston County. And these are both councilmatic options. These are both the options that the TBD board could vote on to move forward without a vote of the public. So questions on that?
Let's go ahead and, because the next slide is also connected, so let's.
Okay, Matt?
Okay, so this slide shows the 4 different funding options and their expected revenues. Please keep in mind, these are conservative estimates, and if the Board of County Commissioners decides to go forward with any of these options, they will need to be reviewed by legal prior to advancing any further. The councilmatic options include a $20 car tab and a 0.1 sales and use tax, as Karen mentioned before. Both of these options would initially generate about $1.5 million annually. The voter-approved options include a higher sales tax and use tax of 0.2% to 0.3%, and the car tab fee ranges from $50 all the way up to $100. Both of these options would generate about $3 million annually. So we've put together a sample list of projects that could be completed in the 2027 and the 2028 budget years. Each one of the partial or the full circles represents a different TBD funding option. The councilmatic funding options on the left-hand side of the screen, the 0.1 sales and use tax is on top, and the $20 car tab is on the bottom.
Matt, do you want to explain why we're saying 27 and 28 when it's 2025 now?
Correct, because we don't anticipate having all the revenue we need until the budget years of the budget cycle of 2027 to 2028.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
That was exactly. Allows time for the revenue to actually be generated and come to the county, and there is some timeframes on that.
The voter-approved options are on the right-hand side of the screen. The $50 car tab fee is on top, and the 0.2% sales and use tax is on the bottom. The 5 rectangles in the middle represent 5 different projects that have been prioritized from our safety or pavement preservation programs. Remember, this list of projects is going to always be prioritized by the pavement preservation program, the safety program, and the technology program is across multiple different types of programs. So the blue project on top is a roundabout at the intersection of Yelm Highway and Spurgeon Creek. This is an example of what Karen was talking about earlier, where we could use a smaller amount of TBD funding to leverage for a state grant to fully fund that project all the way through construction. The green project is 183rd Avenue, and that project is actually prioritized in both the safety and the preservation program. That project extends from State Route 12 to Empire Street. This is located just outside of Rochester. So this project, or this corridor, is actually beyond any sort of physical repair that we can provide to that pavement surface. It's beyond a chip seal treatment. It's beyond even an overlay treatment. It has to be completely rebuilt. And so as we're rebuilding the project, or rebuilding the roadway, we can add shoulders to address run off the road type collisions, which would support our safety program. The three bottom projects are all preservation programs. And they include 6 miles of overlay on Summit Lakeshore Road. They include 2 miles of overlay on 148th Avenue between Algiers and Martinson Road. And then 2.5 miles of overlay on 143rd Avenue between Tilley Road and McDuff Road. So you can see the two councilmatic funding options, the 0.1% sales tax and the $20 car tap fee on the left. They can fund the Yelm Highway project to provide the roundabout at Spurgeon Creek. It can pay for the 183rd Avenue project between State Route 12 and Empire. And it can also pay for 6 miles overlay on Summit Lake Road. The two voter-approved options on the right can actually fund all of the projects we just talked about. And so on this next slide, this is just simply a map of the 5 projects that we just talked about and where they're at within the county. So at this point, I think now would probably be a good point to pause and see if there's any discussion or comments.
Thank you. Before Commissioner Menser, I just kind of want to let the board know that I have requested the county manager to add during one of our planning sessions a long-term mapping on revenue options. Because, you know, when we look at revenue, we look at it kind of on a year-to-year basis in terms of all of the taxes available. And so in conversations with the county manager, you know, I think the board needs to have a conversation and map out what the future years are going to look like, because we do have two big items that might be coming up, and that the board needs to talk about what something like this might impact in the future. So just wanted to kind of lay that out, that, you know, county manager, I know I just spoke to you about this, but I'm not sure if you want to add anything additional, or Commissioner Menser, you know, you have experience, and this is something we've discussed as well, or board member Menser, sorry.
Sure, well, I'm in favor of the idea because, you know, we obviously have needs in everywhere we look. And we're underfunded to meet those needs. That's pretty much common knowledge in how counties are structured financially. So, but, you know, voters don't just vote for every single tax that you put in front of them, I mean, generally speaking, in Thurston County. So you kind of have to be strategic and really measured and sort of looking at the long view. Like, you know, in any given year, it might seem really good to do that tax, but if we're not looking at like, well, what do we need in the next 5 years or 10 years, and what are our tools, and how would we map this out so it would make sense over a longer term, so that we have that kind of perspective when we make decisions, and, you know, from year to year on tax measures to propose to the voters. So I think that's a good idea, and I support that kind of discussion for the board. I mean, we've never really honestly done that, even, you know, I think about it that way, but I mean, I haven't always felt like all my colleagues have, and you guys, and there's 3 of you that are pretty new. Like, we've definitely never had a discussion like this and we've got needs of the jail and needs of the court and needs of cultural access and needs of transportation benefit district and the proposal for the general levy lid lift to meet, this. And, I mean, we've got all these tax proposals and they all can't go at once. So let's plan them out, Are we gonna do none of them, all of them, on what timeline? So that makes sense to me.
I'll get the county manager and then I'll go to board member Grant. County manager?
Thank you. Yeah, very supportive of this concept. I agree with Board Member Menser that, and you, Chair, that we really do need to strategize this out from a couple different levels. One, just to see what's coming down the pike, what's available. What else does the county have that they're obligated to do if there's renewals or things they have to go back out for? We don't want to bump into each other on different issues. But the other side is communication and really creating the space and understanding for community input, outreach, so that folks understand where the county is headed. And then lastly, just being a good partner with our cities. It's oftentimes that you don't want to have competing measures on the same ballot. And so they often ask us what's going on. So I think this would be a great opportunity for us to do an inventory. And then as Board Member Menser mentioned, to strategize out what that looks like, what are the needs, and what kind of stakeholder engagement we need to do to move it forward.
Thank you. Board member Grant?
Yeah, hopefully there's not too much feedback, but I absolutely agree that we need to be looking at an overall kind of revenue plan. But I want to mention that I'm really excited about projects like these because these kinds of projects are leveraging additional funding. So it's not just saying, hey, we need to raise taxes because we need to do projects. It's about the fact that if we are able to do something like this, we're able to leverage double our money. And so as we go forward and look at our revenue streams and look at short-term and long-term projects and plans, I think that I'm really interested in looking at how we can do this. And then we can make a priority list. So but this is I just want to say, I think this is a very smart way for us to utilize funds.
Thank you. Board member Menser?
It's a question for Matt, just so I understand the circles.
Yeah, let me go back to that slide.
So you're saying that these are the projects that could be done, is it only within the 2-year time frame that's at the title?
That's correct.
So then 2 years later, we would be able to do another set of projects?
The program, the safety program or the preservation program would prioritize another.
So this is a 2-year kind of look
That's just a
at what
2-year,
we do.
that's
Okay.
just what we could accomplish in 2 years.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood that.
Seeing any additional questions, hands? I just really want to thank staff. I know for me, funding the TBD, it still remains one of my goals. And it's been something I've been advocating for a while now. And I'm excited to see projects listed out right? Because I think that's a messaging to the community, and I think it also helps board members see where that money would be invested in. But I do think that the board on a commission level needs to have a discussion for a long-term strategic plan first. But I don't want to take away that, for me, I'm fully supportive of this. And thank you so much to both of you for all the work that has really gone into this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any additional questions, comments? No? Okay.
No action, no follow-up action items at this point, is that correct?
Yeah, no action required. This was informational and for board discussion. So before we do adjourn, I want us to have that planning session, and then from after that planning session, regardless or depending on what the board decides, I think that from there, we need to also discuss if this matter is on the top of the priority list for the commissioners, I think there needs to be discussion on setting that next TBD meeting. And so for now, I'll go ahead and say that maybe the meeting for April is canceled.
Yeah, that,
That would allow staff to, for the board to have that discussion during the planning session and to set a timeline and possibly come back in May for a TBD meeting, depending on what the results are for. If the TBD ends up not being on that list, unfortunately, then I think at that point, we can go ahead and cancel the meetings for the rest of the year. But if the board does decide, I think, then we come back. Does that sound good for the rest of the board? Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm seeing agreement in that. So it is 4:45. I'm getting you all out of here 15 minutes early. We are adjourned. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you.